Hey, this is Mike, and today we're going to take a look at bringing in a character from Mixamo as well as a sword and a shield so that we could use them in Game Creator 2 and the melee module. Let's see if we can get that to work. And so let's go to mixamo.com and we're going to log in. If you don't have a Adobe ID, you can go sign up for free and create a free Adobe ID, and then you can log in with that ID. So once you have logged in, it will go to the screen, the search screen. First, what we want to do is get a character, and I already have it pre-selected, but you'd want to search for Paladin character. There's a lot of different characters you can choose, but this one I'm using here is Paladin with Prop by Jay Nordstrom. This has been on we say use this character. This has been on Mixamo for a long time, so we can click and drag to rotate around it. As we can see, it's got a shield and a sword. So what we want to do is download this character. We click download. It's going to come down in a T-pose, and we want FBX for Unity, and we'll just download this. Okay, so once it's finished downloading, we also want to download the Paladin without the props. And for this one, we don't have to just do this separate download. We can just go and find the animations, and we'll download that. Wait for it to load. So this one does not have the sword and the shield, and then, so if we now go to the animations tab, we want to look for I think it's the sword. The Pro Sword and Shield Pack. Let it load here. There's 51 animations. It also includes the T-pose one, which is what we need for the avatar. So if we click on Pro Sword and Shield Pack, and then as long as it says Pro Sword and Shield Pack, we do a download, and the character is off doing something because it's executing some of the animations. So download this. And this time we want FBX for Unity. Well, we can just use the defaults and then download. This one will download a zip file with everything inside of it. Once it's finished downloading, then you'll have this FBX Paladin with Prop and the Pro Sword and Shield Pack zip file. You can see all of the animations it has inside of it, as this preview runs through all of them. 2,000 frames worth of animations. So now that we've downloaded it, we can bring it into Unity and take a look at it. So if we go inside, look inside the Pro Sword and Shield Pack zip file, you will see there is a whole bunch of FBX files. There's 52 of them. 51 of them are the animations, and they're very small in size. Those are the animations. One of them is the Paladin itself, which is the mesh. So this is the mesh we need to use to bring it into Game Creator 2. And this one won't have the sword and the shield. Okay, we're going to deal with that separately. And then the other one, and then the rest of them are just animations. And then if we look at the other one, this one here, the one with prop, we're going to bring that in to Unity and take a look at that as well. But we'll do this first, and then we'll bring in the other one after. So let's do that first. So now we're in Unity, and it doesn't matter what scene you've got loaded right now, but it could be an empty scene. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag and drop this paladin with prop into Unity and take a look at it. We'll import that, and we're going to take a look here. And by default, it comes in. So we can see the sword and the shield. By default, it comes in as generic. So what we normally would do is say humanoid and create avatar from this model. Apply. And then we can take a look at what it looks like if we drag it into the scene here. Like here. And so we can see that it's got the sword and the shield on it. So if I look at it in the hierarchy here, it's got some parts here. So there's the sword, and it's actually the base name, Paladin J Nordstrom, instead of sword, right? So if you click on sword, you get the body. If you click on shield, you get the helmet. If you click on helmet, you get the shield. So it's all misnamed. All these are misnamed, and so we're going to have to fix that. And we can see this sword is coming in like sort of in its bounding box, kind of crooked. It's like a so if we wanted to, we could use it, and if we drag it onto this character, right? So player. So let's just try that and see what happens. So we drop that. So we have our paladin, right? It's got a sword and a shield. This sword and shield are not going to be weapons, like melee weapons. They're not melee weapons. They're just meshes, and of course misnamed as well. So they're just skin mesh renderers. But it will work. I mean, but we want to have them separated out, I think. So like you can't click and have it work, right? And then we have our other code that runs there that has the other sword, so that works still. But now he has two swords, right? So what we want to do is separate out the sword. So normally, you would think we could just unparent this from the player and then just create a new prefab. So let's do that. So that's the sword, right? And can we move it around? No, it does not allow you to move it around at all. And let's just put it back here. And let's just bring out a new prefab of this, just the paladin itself, the FBX. If we do normally you could do an unpack completely, and then just turns it into game objects. And then if we take this sword, we still can't move it around. But maybe if we make it into a prefab, we could do something with it. But the problem is it's blank. Okay, so it does show the sword, right? So we make a prefab, and then we can get rid of this. Drag it in. But the problem is the sword is not there. It's an empty bounding box with no mesh, right? So it's not really, from what I can tell, it's not really a separate object at all. So we can't really separate it out this way. So what I'm going to have to do, even though it's got all of these different meshes inside of it, but for some reason Unity treats it all as one object, basically. And there's things you can try and do, like convert to FBX prefab variant, which is one thing I tried as well, which you get with the FBX importer, that if you install that from the Unity registry. So you can try exporting a new prefab out. It'll create an FBX and a variant prefab. So it's going to take, and we'll see what will happen. And just do convert. And names of objects may change and break animations. So turn off and continue. So now that created us this prefab, invariant prefab, or I don't know where that went. I don't know. It went in here. It created it here in the root. So they bring that in. This is, let's see. So we have a variant prefab here. And if we take a look at this, we still can't move that sword. Even if you unparent it, it won't do it. Well, even if you unpack it completely, unparent the sword, theoretically it's a separate object, but it's not, it won't move. Well, it sort of does though. The position, its transform moves, but visually it's not moving around, right? So Unity doesn't really like this type of a thing. So what we're going to do instead, and I tried many different ways of doing it, but what I'm going to do instead is to bring this FBX into Blender 5, and we'll export separate objects out. Instead, we'll be able to isolate the sword and the shield and export them out instead. So I'm going to just delete these from here, and we will import them into Blender. So I'm in Blender 1, and I want to delete this default cube. So delete X to delete. File, import FBX, not legacy, FBX. So we got our downloads folder, so we'll click this one, and I think the defaults should be fine. And we'll import FBX. So as we can see the paladin with all the bones. If you want to turn off the bones, there's a view button here, I think it is. And objects, you uncheck the bones and you don't see them. And then if we make sure our materials are there, yeah, and they are. So now in this outliner here, we have this armature and different meshes. So there's the sword, still misnamed, but the sword and the shield are the first two right here. So what we want to do, and then this and that, we don't need those. But what we can just do is click this one. We're going to rename that. I'm going to rename it. Double click it. And sword. And it becomes 001. So I'm going to actually fix this and make it body. Sword. Oops. And this one is the shield. That's the helmet. So let's call it H. And then this one is the shield. Okay. So this helmet, we can just get rid of those. So now the sword, let's deal with these one by one. The sword is by default not at the origin. So we kind of want to change this to be like 000 and apply the transforms. So what we want to do is we can move this to the origin. So we go object, set origin, geometry to origin. So now it puts it down here. We want to rotate this though so that it's So we can go R for rotate and X, I think. And we want it to be probably minus 90 in X. And then let's look at it from the side. Side view, object, or view, frame selected. And then we want to rotate this so that it's straight up and down. So R, and because we're in the side view, that's the only way it can go. I think it's minus 15 in the Z, minus 15, and 0 in the Y. And so, at least it looks straight up and down. And we could also move it up. Let's see. We look at it from the side. We need to rotate it this way as well. So it looks like that. So now it should be fairly straight. And then from this way as well, I'm going to straighten it up that way. So it's pretty close now. I think it's, and then we can move it in the Z direction, just so that it's sort of right there on the in the origin. So now once we've got how we like it, we want to apply all these transforms so that it is not gonna, it'll be all at zeros. So we want to, object apply all transforms. That makes these go all to zeros and the scale to 1, so that when we export it, it'll all be like normalized to zeros and rotations and all that. So if we go and then make sure you have it selected and you go export and FBX, and then go back to that directory, and we're going to create one called sword, paladin sword.fbx, and make sure that it's limited to selected objects, mesh, and only the mesh. And I think that should, and click apply transform as well, just in case. And that should actually fix it. So we exported it, and we can bring it into Unity. So we can bring it into Unity here, the paladin sword. Let's drag it in, and it should be good. And then when we drag it out, it looks better. It's not off. And now we have a separate sword that we can use as a weapon in the melee module. So let's do the same thing for the shield. So that the sword is done, we'll bring back the shield. And it's up here. I'm going to lower it down. So we're going to do the same thing where the shield, object, set origin, geometry to origin. And then with this one, I think we're okay with just leaving it how it is because it looks like it's rotated. Well, let's just check. We'll rotate it a little bit so that it's straight. And then look at it from the side. It looks okay. From here, I gotta rotate that so that it's straight. And this one, so it's all straight. And then we'll just cycle through all these directions to make sure it looks good. And I think it's good. That one doesn't take as much as the sword. So then we just go File, Export, FBX, and we'll call it Paladin Shield.fbx. Again, everything else is the same as it was before. And we can export FBX. And we can close down Blender now. And we'll bring it into Unity. So we'll just drag it, Paladin Shield, into Unity. And then we have a shield that we can use separately from the model. So that's good. We're done with that. So now we want the other zip file that we created or that we downloaded. So that's this zip file here, the Pro Sword and Shield Pack. And what we can do is extract this to a folder, Pro Sword and Shield Pack folder, and then just drag the folder into Unity. So now we have a whole directory with everything. This is our Paladin without the weapons. So this one, what we want to do is make the avatar from this. So make the rig humanoid and create from this model and apply. And that will create inside of it this Paladin Nordstrom avatar that we're going to use. And then we could also move it just up here if you wanted to separate, to have the Paladin, the shield, and the sword all there. And then all that was left in here are animations. So we got all of our animations. All of them are set to generic, so we need to select them all. We can do this all at once. We can select them all, go humanoid, and then create from other avatar. We want to use the Nordstrom avatar that we just created. So that would be this one, not that one. I had another copy of this, but there should only be one copy, so that one. And then hit apply, and it will apply it to all the animations. So now you can come in and preview these animations by opening them up, and they're all called Mixamo.com. So the other thing we could do is to rename these animations. So there's one clip in each one of these. So if you want to rename it, just go to the top level, go to animation, and like type it in. Basically, there's no easy way to do it. Sword, draw sword 1. It'll rename it, and then you want to click apply. Then that'll rename it in here. So basically, go through each one of these and do the same thing if you want to, because it's going to be less confusing than having Mixamo.com show up as the animation all the time. So let's look at, there's a slash one. Okay, so let's look at this one. That's a slash attack. So we're going to call it slash 1. 1. And we hit apply. And we can have that. So we just have to do that with all the animations. So now we can just make our player a paladin character. And what did we, because that other one, we removed it, so it's invisible now, the player. So because that happened, I just deleted it because the player didn't have anything special on it. Or we can try just dragging in the new one. So let's see if that fixes it. And yes, it does. I think it does. So we have our player as the paladin. Let's see if it works. So yeah, it seems to work. Now the paladin is using the Game Creator 2 animations. So let's see, and then still working with their old weapon. So now what we want to do is get the weapons working, the actual the sword working instead. So we'll create a new sword weapon, the paladin sword weapon, so that the paladin could use his own sword. All right, so we're going to create a new weapon to make this sword into a weapon that the paladin can use. So now we're just going to create a prefab from the sword, and we'll do the shield while we're at it, and just copy those into this directory that I have for this scene. So we have the shield and the sword as prefabs. And for the sword, we want to go into the prefab and create an empty game object underneath it. And this will be for the striker. So we have the striker, so it can know where the hits happened. So I'll add a striker component to it. And then we just need to, and it's going to be a capsule. And we need to change the direction to Z. And then we can move the position up. Not that way. Z and the Z axis. Okay. So let's see. It's too long, so we want it to be, change the height. And then we'll just keep adjusting it till it looks good. Like that, I guess. Just where you want the hits to occur. And then we need the trail. And those are those dots. So the material is going to be trail, sword. I think it's FX trail. No, the sword trail. There we go. We'll use that. And then we've got to look for those little balls. Where is it? Okay. Should be on the X axis or Z axis. So we have the point A at the tip and point B right there, just where the trail needs to go. In between those 2 points when it gets swung. That's what that's for. And I think we need 0 on the X. So because it's not we're in the Z axis here. So this weapon. So, and quads is 32. You can change that. Maybe the length could be longer. Try 3 and 64. And that should be it for this paladin sword. We've got our striker set up. We might want to go a little radius on this a little bit more, because in the examples they have a fat radius. So like maybe the width of the handle type thing. So just to ensure that we get hits registering. So there we go. So the sword is done. So override, there's no overrides. So it should be fine then. Right click, yep, it should be fine. So I should be able to just delete these from the scene. The shield we'll deal with later. And let's see. And the sword we can delete. This is there. Okay, we're good. So next we need to create a weapon object. I'm going to install RapidIcon because I'm going to need an icon for the sword. And RapidIcon is the best way to do that. So I'm going to download that. Okay, so that's downloaded. So now I'm going to do that now and create an icon from this. Okay, that's better. All right, so export. And it's 256 by 256. I guess that's okay. I guess I don't know if you can go higher, so it's not so blocky. But so that's that, and then we are going to export the icon, and that's it. And that goes in here in the exports. So I'm just going to move it over here. And it'll be the because we have to make it into a sprite as well. Okay. There we go. So now we're going to create the weapon, melee weapon. There we go. This one will be called Paladin Sword. Okay. Paladin Sword. I'm going to leave the description blank, and we're going to set the icon to this sprite right here. And color white. Shield. We're not going to worry about that just yet. And then we're not going to use any states or anything like that. What we are going to do is create a combos asset, because you can do it. You can either embed it or you can put it as an asset. So I'm going to create the asset instead this time. So that would be a combos. So Paladin Sword combos. We put all our combos in here. And then we'll just have this first one just for, we'll test it. Oh, we need a skill as well. So we're going to need to create a skill. Melee skill. So if we look through these animations, we're going to do just this slash skill for now. And then, so it'll be called /1, because there's like 5 of different ones. So it's not a charged skill /1. We're going to strike in a forward direction using all strikers. Trail is active. And yeah, there's sound. We can use sound effects. So audio clip. Assets. I think there's the melee examples. There should be something. Oh, here, audio. So we can use these. So whoosh, small one. That's the one. Oh, audio source. No, audio source. Wait. Oh. Well, that's weird. Well, there's 2 here. Okay, that one's what we want. Okay, so whoosh, small one. That should be fine. And then the hit sound. We have. Not sure why there's 2 audio clips here, but we need the top one. So sword impact. And that's the only those are the ones we'll set for now. Then we need an animation clip, so we're going to use not this, but we're going to use slash. So we just need this /1. And we're going to go into here. And the motion, we're going to use root motion. And it's going to go into skill mode. And then, let's see here. Okay. That's, so this is where it begins. That's where it ends. We can maybe make it like there. And then the rest of it is the rest of it. You could probably move this down. So you could cancel when it gets to the end of its swing, like that, and then start a new swing. I think that's good. The P and the R for root motion is the position and the rotation of the character if they can change up until this point. So if I move this down here, the character will be locked in place until it gets to that frame, or the character will be able to move until it gets to that frame. So like if you had it all the way up here, you'd be able to like slide around on the floor with your character while it's swinging, while the attack is happening. Or if I have it all the way down here, basically at the beginning of the move, it locks it in place, and I kind of like it that way. So I put these down right at the bottom. So let's do that. So that should do it for the /1. So in the combo, we're just going to assign /1 to it. And then the weapon, we can assign the combos. And that should do it, right? So on equip, we need to, so the next thing we need to do is have a visual representation of what are we attaching to the character when he equips the sword. So what we want to do is attach a prop. And that prop is going to be the Paladin sword prefab. Right? So, and we also need a handle. So let's create a handle. Characters handle. And this one will be the Paladin sword handle. And that's going to be where does it appear on the character. So the right hand, and then there should be an offset. So I'm actually still in the, let me go back into this and close it. And once we're done here, we want to close the skill mode because that's what causes this error to appear there. So so here we want to use handle instead of value, and then we'll assign the Paladin sword handle. So we're going to attach that. We'll set the handle later, and then attach the prefab on unequip. We want to drop it, or not drop, but remove the prop from the player. There we go. And attach. I think it just attach. But we can look at the other. We forget what we did. We can always look at the other weapon and see what it does. Just attach and remove. So that's all we need. Okay, so now we should be able to equip that Paladin sword. So if all I have to do is have my trigger to equip. Actually, I just have since we already set up this, since we already set up the variable, we can just assign it to this weapon. So here it is, Paladin sword. So that should do it. It's not going to appear in the correct position in the hand yet. So let's take a look at seeing what the offset needs to be. So what we can do is just do it here. We can find the right hand, right hand, and then we can just drag in the prefab into his right hand, and then what we want to do is go 0, 0 that out, 0 out everything, and then we can attach it, move it around so that, let's see, this one, not that way, we want this way, no, 90 degrees, the Y, I guess, and we can do this. Just want to like put it in his hand, basically. That's good, and then I'm going to rotate it as well so that it's like 90 in the Z, just so that this thing is straight. Okay, so let's see now. So what we want to do is copy these values to the handle. So if we lock this in place, then we can right click the handle and say properties, and then bring up a new box, and then all we have to do, because you can't copy and paste, just type in those properties. And 90. That's it for the handle. So that should do it. I'm just going to leave it here, but deactivate it just in case we need to look at it again. But it should be fine. Hopefully it'll be fine though. So now let's test it out. If I go E, I am now holding the Paladin sword. And there's you can probably hear the hit sound. Yeah. Okay. Notice when we're attacking, we're going to the left side a bit. So what we can do is take a look at the animation itself, the /1 animation. So go to the FBX and unlock that. And then we can see that this animation has well, it's not baked into pose, but let's take a look here. What it does, goes off to the side. I'm not sure if sometimes when you see that, we can click bake into pose and put original, and then we'll see if there's a difference. And yes, there is a difference. So now it's going forward. So that should fix that issue. It's kind of hard to attack someone in front of you. It goes off to the side. So let's see. Yes, much better. Much easier. Okay, so that's working. So we got our sword. Next, I want to look at how to set up the shield. So we'll do that next. All right, so we're going to equip a shield. So first of all, the shields have to be created as a weapon first. So we're going to create a weapon for the shield. So let's do that. It's really a melee weapon. There's also a shield object, but it needs to be a weapon first. So we're going to call this Paladin Shield. And in the shield, we'll just call it Paladin Shield. And we'll do an icon for that as well. So RapidIcon, the shield. And then the good thing is we can rotate it however we want. And then export that. And we take our exports, make it into a sprite, and apply. So then we have this Paladin Shield icon, because we'll use here. There we go. And now we need a shield object, because this is actually a shield. So let's create a melee shield object. And then notice it says Paladin Shield 1, I guess because it sees itself as the same name as some of these other Paladin shields that we have in here. So basically the angle is how wide of an angle will it block from. Parry time is set to 1/4 of a second by default. The defense, how much defense it provides. So we're just going to keep that. And then the state, we need a state. So this state we need so that when we raise the shield, this goes into the state, and then when we lower the shield, it goes back to the regular state. So we're going to create a state. Animation state. And then this will be the blocking state. And there is an animation clip that we can use here. This is the Sword and Shield block idle, I think. See if we can find it. This one. That's the blocking state. So we'll use this one here. And then we'll go back to here. Sword and Shield block idle. Oh, actually, this to be in here. Okay. Sword and Shield block idle. And I think that's all we need there. And then we assign that state right there. Layer 7, it has to be layer 7. The melee module uses 7 for shields. So it needs to stay at 7. And I think that we can take the defaults for everything else. You can add block and parry reactions and break reactions as well. I don't have any of those right now, so we'll leave it for now. And then we go back to the weapon, and we can assign the shield to it. And the state, so the state is when it's not blocking. So when we have a shield equipped, but there's also a state we can use, a Sword and Shield idle 4 state that has the character holding both the sword and the shield. So we can do that. So we'll do this, create a state. This will be the shield idle state. Sword and shield idle 4. There we go. And shield idle. Go back to here, and then yeah, we'll use this state. And weapons have to be layer 5. So, and there's no combos. I'm not going to put any combos on it. It's a shield. But if you had like a shield bash attack or something like that, you could put that attack on the shield as well. Just because it is just a weapon like anything else. So I guess, and then on equip, we need to attach the prop, the actual prefab, and we're going to use a handle again. We're going to create that, and then unequip. We want to remove the prop, and that is, where is it? This one. Remove that, and then let's create a handle. Call it shield handle. Okay. And where's it? There we go. That's all we need there. And then the shield handle, we need to figure out what to set for that. This is going to be the left hand, not the right hand, because the right hand is the sword. So the left hand will be the shield. And then the position, we need to figure out that next. Where is it? Okay. So let's put that on the player. We'll do the same thing we did with the sword. Yeah, that's the right. Okay. This time the left shoulder. Let's see if I left that. No, I didn't. Okay. Left hand. So we have the shield parented to the left hand. And we'll zero everything out. Oop. And then we'll see how this needs to go. And use the global, maybe. I think this is just basically going to be attached like this. I think. When he puts his arm down, we may need to readjust this. But he's going to be holding it in his hand, I guess. I guess that's how it works. Sort of like this. We'll see how that looks. And maybe, yeah, and we can adjust it accordingly. But then, so we'll take these coordinates and plug them into the handle, which is right here. Zero, negative 0.043, and then say 8 degrees then, minus 1.5, and 78.798. Okay. Right. Try that. And then, so the only other thing we need to do, let's just turn that off now, is we want to equip the shield. We could just equip both of them at the same time, just for ease of use for now. But otherwise, you'd have to have another button for equipping a shield. So for now, I'm just going to equip them both at the same time. So we're going to unequip the shield. There, and then we're going to equip where we equip it. Equip melee item, melee weapon, paladin shield. There it is. Unequip. And then is there any other areas I need to... Yeah, the first branch we're unequipping. Second branch we're equipping. Okay, so let's try that. So let's see what happens. Now we have our shield. It's upside down. And the sword isn't there either. What happened to the sword? Okay, something's off with that. Hmm. Oh, we don't have the weapon. Oh, we don't have the weapon. That's why. I don't know what happened to it, but that's strange. Something removed it for some reason. I don't know what happened. But let's see. So that's that. And now let's fix the handle. Yeah, let's do that. Let's take a look at this shield. We just need to flip it around, so. Like that. Okay. So it needs to be negative 90 in the Z. So yeah, negative. Let's do negative 90 and see how that works. I'll turn that one off again. Okay, equip. So now we got both. Our shield, but see now, this is not a thing we want. The reason is when we go into this state, shield idle state, we only want it to be an upper body state. So we need a state mask on this. So we want the human body upper mask, I think. This comes with if you have the Kevin Iglesias pack, it comes with a bunch of avatar masks. So I think this would work. Even if it's not a Kevin Iglesias animation, it hopefully should work. Let's see, take a look. Hopefully that'll work. So only the upper body is affected. That's cool. And now, how do we raise our shield? That's what we want to. We need a block command for that. So a trigger for blocking. So we will use keyboard while pressing. I think that'll be good. Because we want it to block as we're pressing down a key. And I'm going to use the left control for that. Left control. And then add instruction. Melee. Is it? I'm not sure. Defense. Start blocking. So we want to start melee blocking. And then when we release the left control, we want to stop blocking. So we'll do keyboard release, left control. And melee, defense, stop blocking. Okay. So let's see if that works. I'm not sure if this is correct or just it might just need to be keyboard press. We'll just see if it works or not. And if nothing's equipped, it's not going to do anything. So equip it, and then there's our block state. While we're pressing, it does work. And actually, while we're blocking, it still can attack. So, and then it goes, we hold it down. So that's our shield. Now, if you wanted it to, like, it does like that, right? Okay, so now in the blocking state, we can slide around like this. So we also need let's take a look. We need the avatar mask there too. So the upper mask. If you wanted to know how to create that from scratch, we can do one here. And it is in animation, avatar mask, upper body mask. Call it upper body mask. And then all you have to do is turn off all of this on the bottom and use skeleton from the Paladin Nordstrom FBX. That one, I think. No, we'll use that one. So just to make sure we're using the right avatar. So only the animation on the top will actually work. So shield idle, we're going to use this as well. And for blocking, the same thing. And that should fix that issue. Okay, so if I'm blocking, this is actually better anyway because it doesn't like splay out the legs either if you don't want that. So now we can walk around while we're blocking like this. This is more like Elden Ring where it goes up like that. So that is how we set up our shield. So we've got our sword and our shield and our paladin all set up. And what happened to our paladin anyway? I don't know what happened. Something happened to the scene. So let me just. That is strange. I don't know what happened to it. But we can. Which one of these is. Yeah, we can drop that on there. I think I must not have saved it or something, so make sure it's working. So now we have our paladin. So this is a root motion animation, right? So as I click, it won't let me move while I'm saying that. But if I go into this here and move this out like that. I think I don't know if it will work at runtime, but if now when I'm see the difference as I'm attacking, you can slide around like that. So that's what this does. And the rotation is for rotating around as you're attacking. It lets you rotate. So if I press A, I'm sort of rotating to the side, or D, you can rotate. So actually, if you want to attack, be able to attack to the side, or as well, you can change this R to match how it let you do it during the attack. So it actually could become useful. So that's it for this video. Next video, we're going to look at some simple enemy AI, which you do not need to use the behavior module or any other AI third-party AI package to do. You can have simple AI so that it will attack your character, and so it will be more of a challenge here to play against. So that'll be in the next video. So like, subscribe, comment down below. And thanks to all my patrons. Thanks to everyone who subscribes and watches. Your support really helps out the channel. I appreciate everyone's support. And so we'll see you in the next one.